Alright, once again it's late at night, and I'm recording videos. I found a way to get a more improved audio hookup, an actual microphone and so on, and oh my god, the sound was so bad. Like, worse than this. I have not heard that much white noise out of anything that wasn't an actual white noise generator before. I need to figure something out, because that is not working. Like, I literally turned off the air conditioning, I shut doors, it was so bad. And that's a shame. I really want to talk about something and make a video about it. I might actually record this over several hours instead of just doing this straight in a marathon run like I usually do. But we'll see. So, I tend to not be terribly argumentative. I don't create sort of, God, I don't even know who at this point. I'm so freaking out of it. Rush Limbaugh-esque, Howard Stern-ish videos where people who disagree with me are all idiots or evil or both or something. In fact, I really don't appreciate the argument whenever I run into it. It's well, you disagree with me, so obviously you're wrong and malicious and stupid. As though, it's just, that's a whole long thing in its own right. Regardless, I did want to have a serious discussion, briefly, as serious as anything I do is. There is, where to even begin with this? One thing that has been trending, I guess, would be the correct term for this, would be social justice warriors on campus. The safe spaces, the protected speech, the not protected speech, kicking speakers off campus before they get a chance to speak, invited speakers. Other people have commented on this much better than I, much more thoroughly too, and at much greater length. I don't intend to get into this in any meaningful way, simply because other people have done it before, and they've done it a lot better than I will. And they tend to do it in a kind of a dismissive, sarcastic way, which is, I don't think, very persuasive, very entertaining. Do not get me wrong, very entertaining, but not as intellectually topical, as an intellectual discourse, which I'm much more impressed by a good argument, a sound and sincere argument, than lots of yelling or joking at someone else's expense. Like, they're clearly wrong, idiots. Because it folds right around to the thing I disagree with in the first place, which is the people who disagree with me are all automatically wrong or evil. So if I'm not talking about political correctness on campus, specifically, like any examples of it, like, you name it, there have been so many, very visually and dramatically presented in mostly videos, because we do live in the 21st century. There are cameras everywhere. If something crazy breaks out suddenly, someone's going to catch it, almost certainly. Everyone's got a very high quality video recorder in their pocket at this point. Most people already have it out and are texting and whatever the kids do these days. They're texting and they're apping and spirographs or whatever the hell people do these days. So if I don't want to talk about annoying PC culture on campus, what do I want to talk about? Because I don't want to talk about it going wrong. I'd like to talk about it going right. Or something happening in a more constructive way to deal with that. And it is worth dealing with, and I should perhaps go into why I think it should be dealt with, why it's an issue. I mean, people are, because on the surface, who cares? On college campuses, people are kind of, dicks to people who don't agree with them. Oh, this is not a new development. This is not shocking in its own way, in its own right. It's whatever. People have been doing that since the dawn of time. I think it's important and relevant because it's creating an on-campus culture where censorship is not just welcome but expected. And I do mean real censorship. I'm not throwing that term out just lightly. I really do mean real censorship. If you show up at a rally to protest some speaker, fine, protest the speaker, but shouting them down, using volume instead of reason or argument or discussion, so that someone who you think probably doesn't agree with you doesn't even get a chance to speak, that's a horrible situation, and that's a horrible lesson. And how can we stress this enough? These are college students. They're going someplace to learn something. And that's an awful lesson that if you even suspect, because that's the point. They didn't listen to any of these speakers. Christina Hoff Sommers, who I don't always agree with. I think she's said some cool things. I read her book, Who Stole Feminism. It's a little dry in places, mostly where she gets very statistical. But to dismiss her out of hand and not let her speak her piece, not let her make her argument. Like, what are they disagreeing with if they haven't heard it? That's shitty. That's a shitty situation. That shouldn't stand. But the idea that that's not just a thing that can happen or does happen, but it's common. It's expected. That's what the student body expects. They can just shout down anyone whose argument they haven't even heard yet. And I doubt they've ever read anything by Christina Hoff Sommers. And I'm just pulling her out of my ass, so to speak. Just as a random example. There are many others who just show up on college campus, try to speak, and aren't allowed to do so. It's like, look, if you don't want to listen to this person, that's fine. Just don't go to their thing. I went to college. You don't have to show up at the thing. No one's going to make you. But to make it so no one gets to hear that person's argument, that implies to me that you don't have an argument, or you think that person might be right, or there might be some truth to their argument and you don't want to face it. Why else would you keep them from even making an argument? If someone, I really need to go into this at some length before I can rev up to this. So let's get going, and let's get down to it. All right. Why it is important not to censor people, and I don't just mean censorship in a very public, very obvious way, like someone tries to say something and the government says they can't say that, or arrest them for saying something. That's obvious. But having shouting down, I'm just going to keep using her because I'm most familiar with her more than anyone else, Christina Hoff Sommers. Not letting that person speak at all isn't just, you're not inflicting any harm on her philosophy or worldview. None whatsoever. Get that out of your mind. You are not an enemy or a social justice warrior. You're not a warrior. You're not accomplishing anything. You're certainly not defeating her philosophy or worldview. Some of which, as I said, I don't agree with entirely. Christina Hoff Sommers trends a lot further right than I do. But, and this is why this is important. This is why I feel it's important. And while, as you can probably tell, I'm less funny than usual, no, it's usually not that hilarious in the first place, because I feel very passionately about this. Look, if someone has a worldview or a particular idea or something, let's just stick to an idea. They have a particular idea that you disagree with strongly, whatever it is, picking some bullshit thing at random, flag burning, Someone says, no, you should never be allowed to burn a flag. It's disrespectful to the country, whatever that fuck, or what, who cares? The thing is, if you disagree with that, you want that person to say that in a public forum. You want that. That is a thing you want to happen. Because in a public forum, you can debate them. It's like a boxing ring. It's where stupid ideas come to be challenged, proven, or annihilated, or just destroyed. If someone says something stupid, flag burning, for example, is a thing it's a fucking piece of cloth. Whether or not I agree with the burner and little pyromaniac or whomever is not the point. They should be allowed to say that. Likewise, if you say someone's not allowed to burn a flag, I want you to say that because I'm going to argue with you. I'm going to do it, and the more public, the better. Because the more people who see me defeat you will see that. Will see your bad idea destroyed. We'll see it at least damaged or challenged in a meaningful way. They go, oh, that's, I was listening to this guy, but oh, this person who disagreed with him had some good points. Or even if it's so flimsy, the argument is so flimsy, absolutely I want it in public. I want everyone to hear it. Because if it's so flimsy, it tears itself apart. People listen to it and go, what the fuck are you talking about? That sounds stupid. Good. All the better. That's a good thing. Irrefutably, undeniably. I mean, I don't know where the idea that, shouting down someone you don't agree with, not letting them speak is a good thing. It's the only thing I can imagine. I'm probably wrong, but this is the only thing I can kind of guess at or piece together, is that maybe there's this idea that people are really sheep. That if they hear something, they're going to agree with it. That advertising is not just advertising, it's mind control. Like if people hear something, it will control their minds. So shout down Christina Hoff Sommers, of course, because if she's allowed to speak, her evil magic words will enter your hearing holes and alter your brain, and you agree with her, even though that's not a thing you want to do. Yes? No? Because that sounds stupid. Yes? Agreed? So don't censor shit. Because I want dumb ideas. I want bad ideas. I want people I disagree with to speak. For those reasons, and many others. If I want to go around showing people that I disagree with this idea, I have to know what it is. You go to... part of the reason this has gotten so much attention, the crusade on campus, the political correctness, the social justice war, this whole jazz, is because people look at them and they're laughable. They just sound ridiculous to everyone except for themselves. And I think the reason is they're not accustomed to arguing it. They're just doing echo chamber, listening to only their own ideas and opinions, and just attacking straw men, like made-up arguments that no one really has. And that's important too. That's why it's important to listen, or at least allow people you disagree with to speak. Because if you really do strongly disagree with them, how are you going to learn to argue with them except by arguing with them? And how will you know what arguments to make except by hearing them in the first damn place? Yeah, this is as worked up as I get. It's crazy shit. But you see what I'm saying. When the campus environment, the college environment, encourages this, it doesn't just hurt the people who would speak. It hurts these social justice warriors and so on. These on-campus, very PC, very safe space, they're not being helped. They're being hurt. Because they aren't learning to articulate their arguments well. Listen to their arguments. They sound horrible. They sound stupid, and they're very poorly argued. And I don't think it's just an experience thing. Like they're younger. They're just college students. No, they're They're not, or at least I'm not hearing any really good arguments from people talking about hurtful language and jazz like this. Two, it doesn't make them stronger, and it doesn't make them prepared to deal with the real world. I mean, my God, getting in a bind because someone's, in one case, wearing a hairstyle you disagree with. Like a white guy with dreadlocks? Let's carry on for like half an hour. Just screaming and pitching a tantrum. That's madness. Do you think you can go into the public life, into real life, into the outside world with that sort of attitude, that sort of reaction? You'll go out of your fucking mind. And I don't want that for anyone. I really don't. Even people I disagree with. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I don't think these arguments help them. I don't think these attitudes help them. And I think the colleges are doing them a grave disservice by encouraging this. By allowing, not just allowing it, encouraging it. Because, I mean, honestly, if you fuck some crazy pants, they'll have no fallout for it. 4 or 6 years down the line, that person's gone. They're out in the real world working at Starbucks. If they're lucky. What do you care? College debt is usually comes right back to the government. And that's a whole nother argument. My point being, they make their money off these kids. Way, way too much money. And then teach them awful lessons. Don't release them into the public with marketable skills, for one, and the ability to cope with actual other human beings, for two. The miracle of society and civilization isn't we've gotten a bunch of people who already agree with each other to get along. The miracle of society, culture, civilization is that you have a lot of people who have nothing in common, who actively disagree with on a lot of issues very strongly, and yet can interact with one another peaceably. That's miraculous, and that is a good thing. That is a very good thing. That's a thing to be cherished and just held up as an example of education, for one, but civility and culture, modernity. I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to get to my actual point. So, alright, so let's get into this. So the actual thing I wanted to talk about, the thing that sparked this whole video in the first place, and once again, I've been talking for 10, 15 minutes at this point, and here's my actual goddamn point, is that very recently, like I said, I abhor the attitude of college campuses that are just encouraging very bad behavior. I think it's morally questionable. I mean, it's not just bad, it's wrong. It's not just bad for them, it's not ethical. Very recently, in fact, I think it was just this week, the University of Chicago released a rather delightful acceptance letter to the public. And I'd like to read it. Or at least parts of it. Because parts of it are awesome. I've got it pulled up, so I'm actually going to read the thing and still be recording video. I tried to do it another way, and it's annoying. We'll just go with this and see how this works out. It starts out, "Dear class of 2020 student, blah, 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 welcome to college. Once here, you will discover that the University of Chicago's defining characteristics is our commitment to freedom of inquiry and expression. We are already off to a very good start." I think that's a wonderful, it's a good, look, this is where I'm going. Hang on to your pants, here it comes. I like that. It looks kind of innocuous, but it's obviously not. "This is captured in the university faculty's report on freedom of expression. Members of our community are encouraged to speak, write, listen, challenge, and learn without fear of censorship. Civility and mutual respect are vital to us all, and the freedom of expression does not mean the freedom to harass or threaten others." beautifully put and very diplomatic. I will give them that. That is a wonderful one. I mean, who in the shit composed this thing? J. Ellison, Dean of Students in the college. J. Ellison, you are a muse and a philosopher. This is wonderfully written. Freedom of expression does not mean the freedom to harass or threaten others. Perfect. Of course, some people are going to take that the wrong way, perhaps bend it into some other shape, but that is a very good way of putting that. Continuing. At times, okay, I'm jumping ahead. You will find that we expect members of our community to be engaged in rigorous debate, discussion, and even disagreement. At times, this may challenge you and even cause discomfort. God forbid. Beautiful. I would like to believe that forever ago, 92, when I went to college for the first time, yeah, I'm an old guy. I would like to believe that I would respond very positively to a message like this. Like, this would actually stand out to me. And I want to believe that. It might not be true, but I want to believe that. And I want to believe that I think students, the class of 2020 in Chicago University, at least some of them, will respond to this too in a positive way. Because this is great shit. This is honestly great shit. Continuing. Our commitment to academic freedom means that we do not support so-called trigger warnings. We do not cancel invited speakers because their topics might prove controversial, and we do not condone the creation of intellectual safe spaces. Where individuals can retreat from ideas and perspective at odds with their own. It's good stuff. Good stuff. You gotta admire this. And he doesn't like, you're stupid for thinking that these are good ideas. No, it's like, look, we just don't support this. We are not going to support this on our campus. If you're going to do this, and you can, but we're not going to support it. You do not have our support. It's a good way of putting it. Like, there's nothing that stops you from like saying, hey, my dorm room is a safe space. No disagreements with me there. All right. On and on. And as an aside, I am actually reading most of the acceptance letter. This is most of it. I mean, there's a little thing at the beginning, welcome and congratulations on your acceptance to the University of Chicago. That's like a little 2-sentence paragraph at the beginning. Everything else is just talks about this. This is fucking awesome. Moving on. Fostering the free exchange of ideas reinforces a related university priority, building a campus that welcomes people of all backgrounds. Diversity of opinion and background is a fundamental strength of our community. Nice. The members of our community must have the freedom to espouse and explore a wide range of ideas. Because why are you on campus if not to explore new ideas? Why are you in college? Personally, I think, I could go on, but personally I think the idea of a college as a rounded, this crazy, where we're trying to transform you into a better person is a little arrogant, honestly. But if you're going to do that, this is a wonderful philosophy. This comes from a place of real reason. Anyway, let's see, fostering a wide range of ideas. I am enclosing a short monograph by Dean John W. Boyer, the Martin A. Ryerson Distinguished Service Professor of History and Dean of the College, which provides a helpful primer. And I would like to read that primer. I really would. I'm going to look it up after this, because I want to know. because this is already awesome shit. You've already caught this. As story hooks go, as fiction or biography or history goes, shit, man, you've got my attention. I am your audience. You got me. Continuing. This monograph, entitled Academic Freedom in the Modern University, The Experience of the University of Chicago, recounts the history of debate and even scandal resulting from our commitment to academic freedom. If you are interested in some of the source material, and I am, you can find links to the important reports at the website maintained by our university. Fuck it, man. I'm gonna put this link in this video, like in the comment section. This is great stuff, and it should be. And it's freeexpression.uchicago.edu. Again, welcome to the University of Chicago. See you in September. My heart is warmed. This is beautiful stuff. And this is and once again, not to dismiss people who kind of go to the front and kind of engage in aggressive arguments or critiques of precisely the kind of behavior this is meant to sort of stave off or address, because they're funny as shit. Chris Raygun, Blair White, others, excellent stuff, fun stuff, and really getting on the forefront of engaging it in a very head-on, very argumentative way, but a useful way, an important way. Like I said, I do believe in free expression. I very much believe in it. But my thing is more, I'd much rather, instead of criticize someone for doing wrong, I would rather compliment someone for doing right. I'd rather applaud at a good, reasonable argument than a really, really fiery quip or a really awesome letdown, or put down, pardon me, like, oh wow, like just destroy them with your witty language, incise them with your serpent's tongue, just like something really clever like that. No, I'd much rather, I want to hear a good argument. The witty banter is great, but nothing beats a right and reasonable argument. I mean, I would like to see a response to this, like someone who's strong, who believes in, let's going through this, trigger warnings, safe spaces, and canceling invitations to speakers because their topics might be controversial. That's a wonderful way of putting it. It's great shit. But because I want that argument to happen, because I wanted to see it destroyed with someone like this, with someone like, what's his face, Jay Ellison, John J. Ellison, PhD. Get him, Jay, This is good work. Keep it up. Anyway, I just wanted to bring attention to this because it's awesome. I usually don't do super, terribly serious stuff. Not very often. Like I said, I don't like arguing or starting a fight. I don't want to start a fight. That's not who I am. I would much rather say, like, hey, here's an argument, here's a point of view. What do you think of this? You have this point of view? I disagree with it for these reasons. Do you have a good response to those reasons? You're trying to shout me down or drown me out by yelling really loud or keep me from speaking at all. Clearly, you have no good arguments, so I'm just going to declare myself the winner, unless you can come up with something better. That's cool. In my mind, it's cooler. Classier, either way. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. As always, like and subscribe. Or comment. God, I really love it. I want a discussion on this. I want to talk about this. This is why I'm fucking making a goddamn video, because I want to talk about this shit. Please comment. I want comments. I want a discussion. This is great stuff. This is stuff that should be discussed. Let's discuss it. Come on, guys. Give it up. Anyway, that's me. I'm out.